Welcome to Veronica Live, and we have one of our Veronica Live family members who I adore, and it is our state committee man, George Norris. So he is actually our number one Republican state committee man in Bay County here in Florida, and oh my goodness, George, we've been friends for 10 years, so welcome back to Veronica Live.
Well, thank you very much for that very gracious introduction. It's a pleasure, as always, to be here with you.
Well, what's really fun is that you and I, we talk politics. I've talked to you on the phone for an hour before with issues, and you and I this afternoon were at a Republican women's luncheon, and it got a little crazy. And I always tell people I'm trapped in my own personal sitcom. And at one point during the luncheon, one of the Republican women brought me into it. Now, she did say great things, that I was a fighter and a warrior, but I wasn't expecting that. And so that's where I wanted to start, because the woman that's running to be our state committee woman, Mitzi Prater, had the position, and several years ago I ran against her and I lost to her because they put a third in, and then the woman had the position, didn't do anything with the position, and got mad and resigned, and now she wants to run again, George. And what a luncheon it was. She wouldn't even answer the question. She was literally asked, I think, more than 5 times, why did she quit? And we don't need people like that in these positions. So I'm not going to support this woman. I can tell you, quitters do not make it in my book.
Yes, I'll have to say it was quite a luncheon, quite a question and answer session there. The crowd did not seem to be overly amused with her deceptive and evasive answers. I will have to say that her husband is running against me. He's running to be the Republican state committee man, and they're running as a team. So I think that it's fair to ascribe anything associated with her and her actions, philosophies, motivations, to him as well, because they are running as a self-described team, and that's how they ran last time, as a self-described team. So they would be a voting bloc within the Republican Party of Florida, and there are issues that come up. We're a political organization, so we vote on things, and they would be a voting bloc, and that's what they're marketing themselves as. Last time she did win and he did not win. And as you so aptly pointed out, she did win last time, and then about halfway through, for some reason, she quit in the middle of the term, and then now she wants to come back. I'm not quite sure what that is all about. And again, her husband is in there with her. Haven't heard from him this time around. I'm not sure if he has much to say or if he's letting
I know.
her,
I was like, where was he? And then the funny thing was, she should have been taken out before she even ran against me. And I will say, our Republican Party, you weren't in there yet, but they didn't play fairly, because she actually supported the former mayor of Panama City, Mayor Brudnicki, who had come out at a Republican women's luncheon, and I was there. It was a nonpartisan race, but he declared himself a Democrat, and she openly supported a Dem. And you sign, so that people understand, you sign a Republican loyalty oath. She'd signed one to only work for Republicans, and now she was working for a man that was an open Dem and had declared himself a Dem. And the leadership of the RPOF, I know people put it forward, didn't take her out because they didn't want the headache of taking somebody out, but she should have been taken out a long time ago. So this woman has multiple strikes against her and shouldn't even be in this position. And I know, George, you've worked hard for the party and done great things in the role as a state committee man. So we fully support you. This woman has no business there. And I'm going to be hosting Nancy Viejo, who's running against her. Running against her next soon, like in 2 weeks on my show. And we're going to do everything we can to get her elected. And the other frustrating part, is Mitzi has been picked up as a delegate. So how the hell did that happen? Somebody that quit. Now that was her opening speech today, John, was that I'm a delegate going up to Milwaukee. And I'm like, how the hell did you get that? The quitter got the delegate coveted seat?
I don't get that either. How anybody, George,
BS.
What is it, like 17
BS.
million Republicans or something? Maybe there's 9 million, 17 million voters. Anyways, out of the 9 million Republicans in the state of Florida, how does the one that quit the Republican Party, as her position as a state committee woman, how in the hell did she get selected as a delegate? I mean, that is just astonishing to me.
It's disturbing.
Well, the way she got elected was, she was elected by the members of the CD2, Congressional District 2, Republican Party of Florida members. It was the election was held on the Saturday right before Easter. So most people
were traveling.
That it was
they
were traveling, and it was held in Mariana, and you had to be there in person.
Crap,
and
that's crap.
And the chairman of the Congressional District for CD2 lives in Mariana,
and that was Peacock, right?
And so they wanted to have it there, and some people would have had to travel, hundreds of miles anyway, because the district runs way down around the bend of the state. But people had asked that it be moved so that there would be more people in attendance, but it was not moved, so it wasn't as well attended as it should have been. And so she got to be elected to be a delegate, and it is disturbing because she has been very, very openly anti-Trump through the years, and her position on a matter of record there. I have them printed out where she openly criticizes Trump in very upsetting terms. And so it's disturbing that she is a delegate, and it's disappointing that she's a delegate. And I hope that she will vote for Trump as a delegate.
Well, she will, but she was so stupid today. She couldn't even say, because I was the Trump chairman for our county during the 2016 race for that year, and she was a Jeb person. So that's what she should have said today, was I was working for Jeb, but she's not even smart enough to say that. So the whole thing was pathetic. And no, you got to vote Nancy Viejo. And I'll say it because I don't know how this woman got to be a delegate. Quitters, she's a quitter. And this is pathetic that the party would push that forward. Isn't that Peacock that pushed that forward?
Well, I don't know that I'll say pushed it forward, but he's the one
brought
that
it
set
to vote.
The date.
Yeah,
he
how
set
convenient.
The date, and they did hold an election. So.
And how many people were there? Do you know? Were you there, George?
I do not know. I was not there either. I had other obligations of Easter weekend. So.
Yeah, well, very, very frustrating. And I know you've been trying to help me. I was trying to do, as the director of the Republican Liberty Caucus, to get Congressman Dunn to debate. And I had I was able to secure Epic Times and Jessica Foster. Epic Times, with millions of readers, National Press, was going to drive up from Tampa. Jessica Foster, one of our local anchors, and then a Gen Zer who writes for Florida Voices, which 2 articles have just come out. One today on Dunn, which, by the way, it says in the article that it was a statement provided to Florida Voices. So he was given questions, obviously, and then somebody wrote the answer. So he didn't even give them a live interview. And then of course Rhonda's article came out too, how she's going to fight, and of course hers was a live interview. So here's Congressman Dunn, a statement provided, George. He didn't even do a real interview with a reporter. So I'm just over it. And then he won't debate. And it was so funny because several years ago, I put on the only debate he ever did with Mary Thomas and the two other candidates. And his people, their comeback was, Veronica, provided the Mary Thomas with the questions. And oh, by the way, we had 3 press entities. Amy Hoyt, who works for one of the big anchors from one of our channels here. Jennifer Holton was from the other TV station as well. And then at the time, the News Herald was actually a real paper, and I had the editor, Kaz, on the stage, and they wrote their own damn questions. So this BS that I provided some candidate, I organized it because I'm the queen of multi-hatted putting on events, but this man won't even frickin' debate. And we were going to get 500 people in that room. When I did the first debate, we had 400 people. I was able to get the lieutenant governor to come open it. And then this time too, as it last time, our national committeeman, Peter Feynman, was going to come be our moderator. And John was going to run the timer, and this man for a month, bag dragging, wouldn't even answer the question about debating. And now he's doing one with Brian Rust on his show for an hour. And how is that fair? You know what I'm saying? That's one reporter. Well, Brian's just a talk show host.
Well, all Brian's going to do is throw softballs at him, because he's afraid to offend him.
Yeah, so very convenient that came out last Friday, and that was the one debate that Dunn and, oh, by the way, ... and all voters should be mega angry about this. It's after absentee ballots are already out, and they're like due. So how convenient. You have this at the end of July. End of July, John and George. So I'm angry because what has this man done? Remember, he voted to support the FISA bill. He voted not to oust Liz Cheney. He's given Ukraine nonstop money. So anyways, okay, I'll stop talking. I'll let you guys talk.
Let me ask about the debate. So Brian Rust is going to host it. Is it going to be in front of a live audience anywhere?
No, it's on. It's going to be.
Or on the phone,
it's in studio, and it's going to be 1 hour. And it's going to be, Rhonda said it's 1 hour in the studio, and it's going to be live. Also, it's going to be played on, Magic has a news talk station in Tallahassee, so it'll be broadcast for that 1 hour on those 2 stations. So, and how convenient. Literally, that was sent out last Friday, and bam. It's all tied up with a bow, baby. So and the debate that I was organizing under the RLC, and I tried to partner with the rec, and I was hoping that was going to work out, but then everybody couldn't handle it. Which, oh, by the way, was going to have the 3 press entities writing the damn questions that nobody was going to see, and those were the rules of engagement sent out. That would have been fair, and 500 people and broadcast via Facebook Live as well. So that's what you get. An hour at the end of July. That's all you get because Congressman Dunn doesn't want to debate, and his staff, they don't even respond to people. We heard that today at the luncheon too. All the people, and I've heard this now for 2 years. I've been Congressman Dunn's complaint box. Is that people reach out and he doesn't even respond. So his staffers are horrible.
Well, I do know that people would like to have a live debate forum where they can see the candidates and possibly ideally the candidates could take a few questions from the audience. They don't have any idea.
Well, it's not going to happen, George.
Well, that is truly a shame. But just to wrap this up. But so is it going to be Brian Rust and Rhonda Woodward and Dunn sitting in the room? Are they all going to be in the little broadcast room together?
Yeah,
so
apparently.
That's how it'll be done?
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
So.
And you lose so much because radio doesn't really, radio is a good media, but what you miss on the live debates, where it's televised and stuff, is you miss looking at the people and seeing, their demeanor, which I think,
and their reaction sometimes.
Right, and I think that's one reason they want to hide it on the radio. They don't want people seeing Dunn in action,
Well, nobody sees Dunn, and Rhonda Woodward had her launch event last week. It was a full house, and she took Q&A. like today she took Q&A at the luncheon too. And here's the thing. Somebody said in the Q&A that Dunn hadn't even had a town hall meeting since 2018. Okay, we are 7 years out in October from our hurricane. Why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Why is that? So, and again, I'm just frustrated because I wanted to put on a fair debate like I did the first time. And no, I didn't give anybody questions because I never saw the questions. And when you're dealing with real press, they're not going to share the damn questions with you. We're not Donna Brazile sharing them with Hillary Clinton. So I just...
Well, I think what you're saying, Veronica, is a lot of the insiders are setting things up. And it started, and I was certainly a vocal critic of the school board, that whole mess that went on with superintendent, with Bill Hutzfeld quitting and the way he did it.
Well, it was a setup because they had their candidate.
Right. It was a setup, and then they slid General McQueen in there. And I think they have parked General McQueen as a supervisor of the school superintendent. And I think when Dunn is done, hopefully, I don't think he's going to run another, after this term. I think they're going to run McQueen to replace him.
No, that's what everybody talks about. Yes, I've been told this by multiple people, because when you are a vocal person in politics, everybody tells you what they're hearing, seeing, and thinking. And I've heard this now for months. I don't know. I'm sure, George, have you heard this too?
Well, yeah, that's a common expectation, is that they will run McQueen next time around. But I do think that there will potentially be some other folks that'll step up and run if Dunn doesn't run. I think there are a number of people in the Republican infrastructure that would like to run for that seat, right. But they've stood down in deference to Dunn, and will until he decides not to run, which is a little disappointing, and that it's not only true for Dunn but for other people as well, that there's so much deference for the incumbent when there could be opportunities for other people to step up.
Well, the funny
might
thing,
be more appealing to the voter base.
So I was going to ask you something, because today the first time you've heard Rhonda Woodward speak? That was what I wanted to ask you, and what your thoughts were on what you heard today.
I have heard her speak before. I think that she has been honing her message. I think that she is becoming more comfortable in her message and in her delivery. I think that she's getting better with her pitch as she goes along, which is to be expected of any candidate. She was not a professional politician beforehand. She's just come out of the ranks of the regular folks, as we say. But she seems to be picking up ground and polishing her message very, very well. She was very well received.
I was going to say that. They were impressed. Opinion. Yes, and that's how at her launch she was that way. And I've heard some of her campaign team, they've been traveling with her to these other locations, and I've gotten the feedback from them as well that people want this, and that's the thing. We have too much at stake right now with November, and we gotta have a Gates up there. I'm sorry, we've got to have more people like Gates than people that don't show up and don't do town hall meetings, and then they send a statement for an interview. And when you see that, when I see somebody sent a statement, that means their staffer answered the questions, is what that means to me.
I think that this district, like Matt Gaetz, is a very safe district for a Republican congressperson, and so I think that the people in this district would like someone who is vocal. Matt Gaetz is very vocal. He doesn't shy away from taking a tough stand, being the tip of the spear. And I think that's what people in Congressional District 2 would be happy to have.
We need a fighter, and I think Rhonda's definitely that. Well, okay, enough of local.
So, George, I wanted to ask you, what's going on with the Republican Party of Florida? I mean, there's obviously been a change in leadership, and, we haven't heard a whole lot from Evan as far as, is the fundraising happening or not happening? I mean, it's, that was one of my concerns with Evan. Evan's not a fundraiser.
Yeah, Evan came in and he has raised a lot of money. So he has raised a lot of money. Some of that obviously could probably be attributed to, it was a new year. You got a new guy in there. You got Evan Power in as the chairman. We're moving closer towards the election. So a lot of people are stepping up and putting money into the party because we've got to have money. It's the lifeblood of politics. You need a good message, which Republicans have, but you have to have money to get it out there. So people are stepping up, giving the Republican Party money to fight and get Republican folks elected throughout the state, and hopefully, God help us, Donald Trump. If we don't get Donald Trump in there this time around, I think it's over.
Well, I do too, and that's what I was going to transition to, because we've had Biden pooping in his pants in Normandy. Biden lost in Italy with the PM the Italian PM, Biden, Benaki, and so she's trying to hoard him in. Yesterday, all over Twitter, he couldn't even freaking get into his black SUV, and you're like, you can do it, and then of course we've got Karine Jean-Pierre coming out with what's the verbiage that all of these videos are fake because he was on stage at that fundraiser with Kimmel, who I can't stand, and Obama, and Obama's like, come here, Biden, let me hold you on the arm. It is just so embarrassing right now. And then of course today, you probably saw it last night, that Putin is with Kim Jong-il. They're in a car together that Putin gifted him. Like, we don't need North Korea hanging out with Russia. And this is what happens, now that I'm out of X jail, I put on X jail. This is what happens when we don't have a strong world leader. So tell me, gentlemen, about your thoughts on this Biden mess. I'm just so disgusted by the whole thing.
Well, Biden has destroyed American foreign policy and American standing in the world. Russia and Israel had a little, I'm going to say, friendship, and that had Russia not being helpful to Iran, and all that's now changed. Now Russia has buddied up with Iran because of the things we've done. Russia's now got their submarines and their Navy right off the tip of Florida out there, which is hardly reassuring.
Right.
Now Russia was in a kind of a chilly relationship with China. Now they're best buddies because of what we've done. The BRIC, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, that coalition that's working hard to replace the U.S. dollar, the petrodollar, as the world reserve currency, which is going to knock the wind out of us once they get that done. I mean, you can just go on and on and on the things that Joe Biden and his crazy policies, if you want to call them that, have done to us in these few short years. The things that he's done, we were energy independent. We were dominating the world in energy. Now we're not. It's hard to believe that we could have deteriorated so far, so fast under the guidance of Joe Biden.
Well, it's so embarrassing. And what about you, John? I mean, with having Russia right at 90 miles off of the tip of Florida, with a nuke capable sub, like, I'm scared. This is scary.
Veronica, I could tell you things that would really scare you, and that ain't one of them. Okay, I'm doing it. Remember, I used to look for Russian nuclear submarines.
Well, they've probably been there before, and I don't know about it, Yeah,
well, you probably don't want to know what's really out there, okay? The world like they said, a few good men. There's some bad things. And
a few good women too.
But I heard an interesting analysis. It's sort of a Rush. If you remember Rush Limbaugh, he used to.
Oh, I miss my Rush.
And he would do the analysis based on how the Democrats think through their misogyny and all this kind of stuff lens. And the best one I heard was that Hillary Clinton is the answer.
Oh Lord!
That Joe Biden will, if he blows the debate, they are going to replace him with Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton is the only one that can put in front of Kamala Harris. They know Kamala Harris is a disaster, and they can't get rid of her. Because
that is true, because that has been trending, John, on X. Now that I'm back on X, and the chess pieces are Hillary Prez, Newsom VP, Kamala goes to be the Gov of California. So
I hadn't heard that one, but what I heard was Clinton sliding in to this presidential slot, and because that would block Kamala Harris, and then Kamala would not go against Hillary Clinton. She would not say anything bad. She would go against her, because she couldn't, because Hillary's already been there.
She might get Clintonized.
That's what I said. That's what I said to my wife, George. I said, Hillary Clinton kills people, okay? She wouldn't be messing with Hillary Clinton, because she knows what will happen to her.
Yeah.
You don't mess with the Clintons.
Well, I'm literally petrified by this whole thing.
Well, they've talked about. I heard somebody talking about the stages of dementia, and they said that what they can observe from Joe Biden is he's at stage 5, and I think there was like 9 or 10 stages to it, but he's like at stage 5, and it ain't going to get any better, and it may accelerate and get worse quickly. And so, whether he makes it even to Inauguration Day at the rate of decline, people are questioning if he'll even be around on.
Well, the debate's going to be so interesting next week, which John and I are going to have like an X Spaces, like 2 hours before the debate. So if you want to join us on X, we're going to do a show there. But if he makes it, one of the things they're trying to negotiate is that he gets to sit down. And apparently he's up at Camp David, because there's all the no-fly zones for Camp David as he preps with, Karine Jean-Pierre, because all of these videos are fake, which, oh my gosh, they are so not fake. Isn't it amazing to you guys that how they push this narrative that, I'm sitting here at home trying to make fake videos on Biden that I push out to the world. These are real videos.
Well, you just have to watch.
Recorded live.
Yeah, I'm watching them live.
Well, it's interesting to watch them cover for each other too. It's like the G7 picture. Where Biden turned to the right or to the left and wandered off, and then the Italian Prime Minister comes over, kind of grabs him, and watch what's going on. Watch the dynamics. Okay, the Japanese Prime Minister and his aide slid in behind Biden to his right to block him from going in that direction. So I thought these people are covering for him.
They're totally covering.
And why they're covering, I have no idea.
What, George? Go ahead, George.
I think the world is afraid of Joe Biden continuing on. There was a guy at the World Economic Forum a couple of months back, and the folks that attend there, as you know, they're no friends of America or free enterprise. And one of those guys there, I can't remember his name, but he was addressing the crowd, and he said the world cannot withstand another 4 years of Joe Biden.
Oh my gosh!
Now, this is a guy from the World Economic Forum who they like chaos and disorder and the decline of America, but even this guy couldn't resist stating the obvious that the whole world is really imperiled because of Joe Biden. It's not just America, but the rest of the world, because they need somebody's going to fill the vacuum. If it's not us, it's going to be probably the Chinese, and they're not going to be.
The world needs leadership. The world needs a leader that doesn't allow this chaos, that's afraid of America, because they know we're a strong force. And that was the funny thing is I saw a clip of Darling Mallorca on somebody's show. Oh, it was a CNN show. And he couldn't even remember that woman that was killed like a year ago. She was a very pretty woman, Rachel. Rachel's her name, yeah. and everybody's up in arms because they found out it's an illegal, and he's done all kinds of other things and shouldn't have been in this country, and he didn't even know her name. It was just so embarrassing. These people are just so out of touch, and that was the thing when I ran around New York for 6 days. You take a lot of Ubers and Lyfts in between, walking 8 miles a day, and a lot of these drivers are legal immigrants. And so I started doing the Veronica Live, questionnaire, asking them questions, show prep, and they were all so angry. There was a black driver from Senegal that his 2 kids had gone to college, and he won the lotto to come over here. And they were literally appalled at having all of these illegals getting all this free stuff. And then my last Uber driver was in one of those electric Revels that are bright blue you ride around New York in, and he had done construction before COVID, and he was appalled also because he built these 2 huge buildings that, guess who they're filled with now? Illegals that get everything. And so it was very interesting to talk to all of these men. And then I met 3 Jewish guys in a bakery at like 9 o'clock at night because, New York is so amazing. I had to get my eclair. And they were 3 Iranian Jews. And actually one called me this week because I gave him my card. Older gentleman. One was a dentist. Iranian Jews. And let me tell you,
I've never heard of that one before.
I was shocked. I know. And the one, Rafi called me this week, and they were all Trumpers, desperate to get Trump back in. So this was my findings in New York from the Veronica Live 6 days running around, eat everything in New York, and ride in Ubers and Lyfts and Revels.
Did you take the subway?
I did take the subway. We took the subway to Long Island to see a famous comedian, Nate Bargatze or whatever, and it was fine because when the world's taking the subway, it's okay. But that was funny. The black Uber driver was like, "Oh my gosh, the crime on the subway," and he said it's really bad in the winter because in the winter that's when all the homeless go down there and nobody's like monitoring what's going on. So it was such a 6 days of, once I started interrogating people, it was a great 6 days,
So what do you think of the idea that if Trump gets elected, that the defense budget, that it's worth like several $billion in defense spending, just having Trump elected because of his Trump's deterrence factor? Have you heard that one? I was quite impressed with that analysis.
I didn't say that again, John. I didn't quite hear you.
Well, okay. I heard an analysis that said, this was from a U.S. senator, said that if Trump gets elected, that's worth a big increase in the defense budget, not literal dollars, but because Trump himself is a deterrent. So that's like spending a whole lot more money on buying ships and airplanes, just having him in the office.
I fully agree with that assessment. I fully agree with that. They would be worried about Trump because he's a real guy. He's a smart guy, and he would not be afraid to do whatever it takes to do the right thing. So I fully subscribe to that ideal that he would be worth many, probably hundreds of billions of dollars in defense spending, just via the fact that he's in charge.
Yeah. And what do you think now? Because do you guys buy into all the polling that everybody's spreading around, that Trump's ahead, no, Biden's ahead? What do you all think about the polling? Because I know, John, you're into numbers, and so is George. You guys understand the numbers. Is it too soon to believe any of this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The only poll that counts is on the election day.
I like that.
I don't know what to think about the polling, and then there's the cheating. I'm firmly convinced that they cheated and stole 2020, and they'll work hard to steal 2024. So I think it's just all up in the air.
And
then, all
go ahead, John.
Cheating they have built it. The cheating they have built in. You have this motor voter, and it shows you how it all intertwines, right? They let in all these illegals, and now Biden is granting them blanket amnesty.
Oh, I'm ill. I'm ill.
Now they can get their green card. Now they can go down and get a driver's license. And what happens when you go down to get a driver's license? What's the law? It's called motor voter, right? You get registered to vote, and it doesn't ask you. Are you a U.S. citizen? Yeah, what the hell? Check the box anyway. And so they're going to be registering all these illegals through the Motor Voter Act. And I think, just another form of cheating, and they seem to have no problem with stealing elections. I mean, it's just the end justifies the means to these people. There's no integrity.
Well, you're right. And once they register them to vote, and there's millions of them, and those ballots pour in, it'll be just like last time. Once the ballots are in and counted, there's nothing to be done except cry. It's all over. We've already been through that. Once the ballots are counted, it's over. So they have a plan, and they are executing it. It's very simple. It's transparent. It's obvious, and I'm sure it'll be very effective. If our side will turn out, we may be able to overcome it. But a lot of people on our side don't have any faith in the process, and they don't have a lot of faith in some of our politicians who promise one thing and then they do something else. People say, well, what's the point in going and voting Republican, because they're not going to do anything any different than the Democrats. They're going to be the uniparty. So we're in very treacherous and troubling times.
So that is so sad, the uniparty winning. But it kind of goes back to, are we being conditioned? Are these polls showing Trump, plus 18 in, Iowa, which shocked me. And it's like, okay, so is the idea to condition us that Trump's got it in the bag? The red wave theory, and I've heard the red wave theory for the last few elections,
and we've never seen it. We haven't, because people are so damn lazy they don't get their asses out to vote, and so
the last red wave, Veronica, was the 2010 election. That was the red wave election, and everybody thought that was the new model, and unfortunately, it's not the new model.
Yeah. No, it's well, okay. The last thing I want to talk about with you gentlemen, because I love having powerful, smart Republican men that aren't woke on the Veronica Live show, is what do you think's going to happen July 11th when Trump shows up for his sentencing? I swear to you, I've been told this, and in New York, many people told me this. They really think he's going to get sent to jail. And I just had a former Trump speechwriter on, Chris Skates, on when John was in Korea, and he said the same thing. He's like, he's going to be sent to jail because they need him off the streets. So what do you all think?
I wouldn't be surprised for a minute. It's like we're in Guatemala or Nicaragua or Venezuela. They will do anything. They trumped the charges up. It was a sham trial. It was a show trial, a Soviet-style show trial. Now he's convicted. Clearly the judge is in the bag for him. So there's no telling. I would not be surprised at anything that happens. We're in uncharted waters. It's just terrible where we are. It's all the way around.
Well, I'm scared to death.
I think I think he's going to jail because you got to remember the same judge sentenced Trump's CFO, Weinsberg, sentenced him to 5 months in prison for basically Trump's organization paying for his kids, high school tuition, private school tuition, and having a private car. That it was stuff that never should have ever seen the light of day in any form of charges. And they did the same thing. The judge, the guy had no criminal record, nothing. He should have been sentenced at least to probation, but nope, the judge wanted him in prison for 5 months. And I think they're going to do the same thing to Trump. They're going to put him in prison. Now, whether he actually goes to prison, and I've heard some really interesting discussions about that, because Trump is a protectee by the Secret Service, that if they try to put him in jail, the Secret Service basically owns the jail at that point, because they control access to Trump, period. And so that'll be a very interesting thing to see how that works out, because it's not going to be Allen Bragg or penal system putting Trump in jail and locking the door. That ain't happening. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're trying to pass. Who was it? An idiot from New York that pulled the fire alarm.
Right.
He's trying to pass a bill through the House, which will never happen, to strip Trump of his Secret Service protection, so they can send him to jail. But
that guy gets to pull the alarm and interfere with an official proceeding like the January 6th people, but they don't do anything to him. And our Republican folks didn't press the issue either. They let him, yet again, our own people, they go along with the two-tiered system of justice.
Well, I'm over it.
George, we talked to George Santos a couple months ago, Veronica.
Oh,
and it was the same thing. It was the Republicans that came after him on some.
Well, right now, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, the sex offense is back again. That he's been sleeping with underage women, and I heard him on Joe Pags, who I've been in contact with, because Joe Pags said he'll come on my show for an interview, and he's nationally syndicated. He had him on yesterday, and Matt Gaetz is McCarthy is after him. I mean that's the sad thing. When you take it back to Congressman Dunn, I hate to change horses because I want Congressman Dunn to be my Kentucky going to win the Kentucky Derby, but it's so critical right now in D.C. that we have fighters. I don't need somebody that's not available to take calls from the people or fight for us in D.C. at every moment, and so that's how I'm feeling by this whole thing. And now they're going after Gaetz because McCarthy still has people with skin in the game that are there in Congress.
I think they don't understand that we are in a political war. I mean, this is a political war, and the Democrat Party, in its current form, needs to be destroyed. And excuse me about the Constitution, but we're post-constitutional. We're way past that. The rules are different. They're playing by a set of rules. And we're sitting here.
Well, they do whatever they want. They do just like the A.G. Garland thing. We cannot get that. They give us a transcript of Biden, of that when they sat him down about the classified, and we cannot get the tapes. Why can't we get the tapes? Tell me, gentlemen, why can't I listen to that?
Because they won't give it to you, and they're in control. And we don't do anything, and that's just that simple.
Well, I'm sure they've deleted it at this point. I'm sure they've deleted those damn tapes.
Well, that's what I said. We're playing by a different set of rules, Veronica. The Republicans will stand up there and talk about conservatism. We oath to the Constitution and all that stuff. And it's like being in the boxing ring, and you going out there, the bell rings, and you stand there with your arms tied behind your back, and the other guy comes and starts pummeling you, and you're wondering why you're losing. Why am I losing the match? It's because your arms are tied behind your back, you idiot. The rules are not designed, they're not playing by the same rules that you are. And we don't seem to understand that.
When are we going to get in the sandbox and start throwing sand in their eyes? That's what I want to know.
That's what
I don't know how we're going to win. I don't know how we're going to win. And if we don't win in November, just think about it. This week, how embarrassing it was. I don't know. Now that I obviously have an X addiction, as you all know, and that's Twitter, people. But Kamala had the Queer Eye guys come from that show off Bravo.
Oh, my God.
And so one of them, George, did you see the clip of that? Did you see?
I did not.
Okay, well, one of them looks like Jesus, and he's in a dress, and his manhood it's all over the place as he runs down to come meet Kamala in a dress. And it was really weird because if you look at his dress, it's like the manhood where his manhood would be, which I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at his manhood, but it's like highlighted on the dress. And this is the embarrassment of why are we hosting these people with Jesus in a dress running down with his manhood flip-flopping everywhere when we have real issues, Ukraine, Israel. This is our White House is absolutely embarrassing what they've done, and this stuff is not okay. This stuff is not okay, and it's so diabolical. It is a spiritual warfare, John and George.
Well, listen to the terminology, Veronica. They want to save our democracy, okay? And it's like, first off, we don't live in a democracy. We live in a republic. Words have meaning, okay? What is a democracy? The majority. It's mob rule, man. That's what they want. They want majority rule, forget about minority rights, and that's not what this country is founded on.
Well, apparently it's the Queer Eye guys at the White House. And then the one, Jesus, Jesus stood behind the podium. I think it was Karine Jean-Pierre's podium. I'm here. Why would we even allow this? You know what I'm saying? It's just, we aren't fighting for what we need to be fighting for. Our country, securing our border, just getting this conflict over with Russia, helping stand with Israel, making sure Americans aren't on the street. So I don't know what we're fighting for anymore. And if we don't win in November, we're screwed.
Yeah, the fight is over.
Well, George, wrap it up with why everybody needs to vote for you. John and I are voting for you. I've known you for 10 years. You are a true Republican with conservative values and a moral compass. I stand with you, and you've got to win it because we can't have fake people that want titles and positions but aren't going to do the work. So why should everyone support George Norris?
Well, I appreciate that full-throated endorsement there. I'm a lifelong conservative. I'm a Trump guy. I'm in here just because of my ideals and my beliefs. I want to help the Republican Party stay true to the ideals that the grassroots, rank-and-file Republican folks look to them to stand up for. I'm not a establishment guy. I'm not doing this for any reason other than I believe in these things, and I'm fortunate enough that I'm in a position that I can take the time to travel to the meetings and put in time to help candidates and fight the good fight. So if you're for the right side of the Republican ledger, then I'm your guy. If you're an establishment person and you want to go along to get along, and the Paul Ryan sort of let's all be palsy and whatever's best for certain groups, if you're looking for that in the Republican Party, then I'm not your guy. So I'm with Trump. I'm not an anti-Trumper, and my opponent, his wife, is he's running against me. They're running as a team, and her post about Trump, or they're a matter of public record, very anti-Trump. So I'll just leave it there.
Well, and ... she supported a Democrat, and our Republican oath, she should have been taken out because we can't do that.
And we actually lodged an ethics complaint with the party against her to have her removed as a Republican Party member, period, and unfortunately, some people were covering for her. But George, I want to add my voice to endorsing you as the former chairman of the Bay County Republican Party, and as the former state committee man for 8 years. And you came and replaced me when I was hired. I full-heartedly endorse you. You're running for the right reasons. Jerry Prather doesn't have a clue, and he actually said this one time. You know, when I ran for state committee man the first time to replace Jonathan Hayes when he left, Jerry Prather actually got up there and said, "I'm running for state committee man, but I don't know what the state committee man does." I mean, it was the most obscene thing I'd ever heard. It's like,
oh my gosh!
What did you just say? You don't even know what the state committee man does, and you want the job? I mean, that's the clown that you have as an opponent, okay? And people, it matters, okay? It matters who we elect. This is not a paid job. This is a volunteer job. It takes a lot of effort to do it right, and we need somebody that understands the job and is committed to doing it. And that's you, George. You're 100% committed to it. So you have my full-throated endorsement.
Well, John, I certainly appreciate that. That's quite an honor for you to give me that endorsement. And I'll when I get back in there, I'll do my best to keep fighting and to do everything that you and Veronica and the other conservative Republicans in Bay County would want from me and from the party as we go forward.
Well, it's been such a pleasure. We've been talking with State Committee Man George Norris of Bay County here in the Panhandle of Florida, and we will definitely have you back because we talk politics all the time together. So thanks for joining Veronica Live.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.